What do you need to be doing now to prepare for Q4? We look at past Q4s, the private label process, what you can do to prepare for the best sales season of the year, and we cover the recent Amazon Prime Day and some of the insights that it gave us coming up in this episode of the Amazon Seller Podcast.
This is the Amazon Seller Podcast, hosted by multi-million-dollar Amazon sellers helping you launch your private label business to the next level. Find us on amazingfreedom.com or subscribe to this podcast on iTunes and YouTube.
Welcome to another episode of the Amazon Seller Podcast. My name is Nathan and I am here with Andy and Leron. Hey, if you haven't yet, you need to pick up your phone or get to your computer and type into the Facebook search bar Amazing Freedom Amazon Sellers to find our Facebook group. We are constantly sharing tips, answering questions, and helping sellers along the way on their Amazon journey. Make sure you go to Facebook and join our group if you haven't yet. All right, welcome to another episode of the Amazon Seller Podcast. In today's episode, we're kind of coming off an exciting event in the Amazon world, Amazon Prime Day, basically Christmas in July, a new holiday almost that Amazon has essentially created, right? It's pretty cool that we are able to sell on Amazon, a super powerful platform that is so powerful that they can actually create their own holidays, basically, right? It's the third year that Amazon Prime Day has been going on, and just as we predicted, this year seems to have been the most successful and the largest Prime Day to date. And sales just, were double, triple, 5 times, 10 times for a lot of sellers. Even in the early hours of the day, people were already seeing massive growth from previous just days of the month that weren't Prime Day. So it's an exciting event, something that we're excited to be a part of. And that's kind of what we want to talk about today, not just Prime Day specifically, but these big, sales times of the year. We know about Prime Day that just happened last week, but that's just a single day. We actually want to talk about in this episode more Q4, which it might seem early if you're listening to this when we release this in July. But actually, if you're a private label seller and really any type of seller on Amazon, it's never too early to start preparing for Q4. And if you wait much longer than now, you're actually going to miss out on a lot of opportunities, or you're using your time wisely to prepare for this event, right? So I'm going to hand it off to Andy and Leron, let them tell us why they think now is already a great time to start preparing for Q4, and maybe also to share their experience with Prime Day as well, if you guys want to talk about that a little bit.
Sure. So if you've been selling on Amazon for any amount of time, then you've heard about Prime Day. It's really kind of a cool concept. We talk about Amazon being a disruptive company toward brick and mortar retail, and here they go again. This is the third year with sales that are higher than Black Friday sales. So let's stop and think about that just for a second. Traditional retail, has been going on for hundreds of years. And traditionally in retail, the highest sales day of the year, was Black Friday. Well, it was like that in e-commerce as well. It was like that on Amazon, up to 3 years ago when they had their first Prime Day. Now, Prime Day, which usually is sometime in July, this year was today, July 11th, the sales are actually more than Black Friday on Amazon. And so amazing marketing that they've been able to do to be able to pump out, the ads to let the public know that there's going to be sales on July 11th that are going to be comparable to what you would find typically on a Black Friday. So like one of the sales today was Amazon's Echo. Normally I think it's like $160 or $170, and you could buy it on Amazon today on Prime Day for $89. So it was half price of what it is every other day. And so, just amazing sales as a seller. You usually triple or sometimes quadruple what your normal daily sales are if you prepare, effectively for today, which, Leron and I did, and a lot of the other sellers we know did as well. Right, Leron?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as I'm kind of looking at Prime Day, and I'll probably 5x my numbers from a regular day, or maybe even more once the day is fully over. I think about Q4, but then I also think about what opportunities are there for sellers to prepare for Prime Day next year. We're going to talk about preparing for Q4, but what kind of products do you want to bring in to have next year? So when I look at it, I think about, and I see some of the best selling products today on Amazon are summer products, seasonal products, because not only are those products already in demand and are already selling like crazy, but then on top of that, you have like a turbo boost for Amazon Prime, where there's just so much traffic on the website. And I think sales, they're better than Black Friday, and they're close to Cyber Monday. So when I think about it, I have 3 lightning deals that I've had for Prime Day, and my best performing one was a product that's seasonal. And so as I look at it, I'm thinking, okay, next year I should have 10 of those lightning deals, because I know that I can totally sell through that inventory. I should bring more inventory for that. And then the idea behind it is that you're creating a halo effect for the future, right? So you're building up your sales, which builds up your rank, builds up your reviews, and can take your listing ahead of the competition if you are running a lightning deal or a special offer on that day as compared to the competition. So I was kind of hesitant to run lightning deals for Prime Day initially. I wasn't sure if I should do it or not, because lightning deals for me have been hit or miss. Generally, you spend $150 on a lightning deal, and sometimes they work well, sometimes they don't. And Prime Day lightning deals were $500. But I'm glad that I, just said, I'm going to go for it, because, all the lightning deals I've had today were very successful. So there's just so much traffic and so much demand that people are coming to buy the Echo, but then they look around, right, for other stuff. And so you're kind of taking advantage of that irrational buying, the same kind of irrational buying that you see on days like Black Friday and like Cyber Monday. And you're trying to get that impulse buy, right? I mean, everything I do in my listings is to try, and what you want to think about is, how do I target and how do I get that impulse shopper to buy when they're on my listing? And, I do that through things like sales, through lifetime guarantees on the product, writing my copy so that I can convert that customer when they're on my listing and not have them go anywhere else. So now, if you've had a successful Prime Day, or maybe if you just want to prepare for Q4, you want to kind of roll those dollars from Prime Day into Q4 and sort of parlay your money and roll it into a very, very successful fourth quarter. And now in the summertime is the best time to get your orders in for the fourth quarter.
And Nate, what's exciting to me about this again is, as an e-commerce seller, the key to the game is driving traffic to, if you have your own website, you have to be able to drive traffic to it. And what's beautiful about this is Amazon spends millions and millions of dollars in Prime Day advertising to drive traffic to our products. And so, again, to me, that's just why I'm so bullish on Amazon. Those are not my advertising dollars I'm spending. Amazon is spending millions and millions of advertising dollars to get more eyeballs of customers on my product.
Right. And, it is kind of our dollars, right, with our FBA fees and everything. But what I'm happy about is that Amazon is smart, right? Jeff Bezos is smart. I trust his marketing efforts and what he does, like Liron mentioned, that the Echo being a loss leader, right? Amazon's smart. They know that even if they're not making any money, or if they're losing money on this Echo that they're selling it for $80, $90 or whatever, it's drawing customers in, and then that irrational buying is causing them to add your products to their cart as well. Even if there's not a big discount compared to other days, they just feel like this Prime Day is a time where they need to shop and they need to buy, and maybe if they're not a Prime customer, they need to hit a certain dollar amount to get free shipping or whatever it is. It kind of increases sales because Amazon is so smart in their marketing efforts. it really benefits all of us. So let's talk about this, Liron, what you did kind of to prepare for Prime Day a little bit. I know for a couple of your products, you are really focusing on increasing the rank of your products going into Prime Day through giveaways and other strategies just to really try to get your products ranked better so that when Prime Day came, you are almost doubly taking advantage of that increased traffic like we were talking about on Prime Day. And I think that will help us lead into Q4 because essentially you can use those same strategies as you start to go into November, December. It's really the time that you want to be ranking well, right? So kind of the efforts that you can do yourself as a seller, in addition to Amazon's efforts of trying to get more traffic to your listing, how you can try to drive additional traffic to your listing by getting your products ranked better. If you want to just kind of go over how you prepared for that a little bit and how, if you'll do something similar for Q4.
Yeah, definitely. So the one thing is when I see some of the Facebook groups, and I've seen in the last maybe 2 weeks, people posting like, hey, what can I do for Prime Day? Or, hey, can I still get a lightning deal for Prime Day? And that was, probably a couple months ago when you had to sort of select that. And so you need to really be aware and prepare in advance. And so one thing I did was definitely set up my lightning deals for my products. I also made sure that for those, when I set those up a couple months ago, that I would have enough inventory to be able to fulfill on those lightning deals. And in fact, I had a couple of products where I was running lower on my inventory than what I expected. I actually canceled those deals because it wouldn't make sense for me, to spend $500 on a Prime Day lightning deal and then sell 100 units. So there's a couple of ones that I had to cancel because I didn't have enough inventory. But on most of the products that I have and that I'm running deals on, so I prepared by making sure I had the right inventory by implementing the lightning deals. I optimized my listings ahead of Prime Day. So for example, I added in my bullets, Prime Day special offer, today only, things like that. So again, doing all the things to convert and get that impulse buy so that the person doesn't go off your page and somewhere else. And then, I did, a couple weeks in advance, I was looking at some of my products and said, okay, let me take these products and work on them in order to improve my rank so that when Prime Day comes, I'm almost going to sneak up behind the competition, those people that are, if I'm maybe at the bottom of the first page or on the second page or, not in the top 10 on the first page for my main keyword, suddenly 5 days before Prime Day, boom, I was there. And not only was I there, I was implementing, what we call our, and what we teach is our triple threat approach to try to dominate not only organic ads, try to dominate with AMS ads, and also try to dominate with sponsored ads, and just really take up as much real estate on the page. So being prepared and putting those things into play, adding images that maybe indicate Prime Day deal or coupon code, things like that. If you were on Prime Day and looking around on Amazon for kind of products for yourself or just searching, you probably saw a lot of listings that had a Prime Day image on their main image. Now, it's against terms of service, but really you're doing this for one day, right? So it's way too difficult for Amazon to come in and really do anything about it when you put an image there for a day and then switch it back. So a lot of smart sellers did a lot of, smart strategic plays in order to bolster their sales above and beyond what they would have been for Prime Day, just, based off the traffic that Andy was talking about. And then as I think about Q4, so one of my lightning deals today sold out about 2.5 or 3 hours into it. It sold out and left with 2 hours and no stock. Now, it did very well and I was happy with it. But if I had more stock on that product, I would have sold more. So that gets me thinking about Q4. And Andy has more Q4s under his belt than I do. But last year, I underestimated the amount of products that I had in stock for that I would need for Q4. So maybe Andy can talk a little bit about how to maybe prepare or forecast, like how much product should you order, right? Especially if it's your first Prime Day for first Q4 for a product. What do you do? How do you know how much to order?
Yeah, so that's always a good question. You and I both know, like, one of the worst things that happen are for some of our best-selling products to go out of stock. Right. And so that's what, as we manage the supply chain, you're always trying to fight against never going out of stock of your best-selling products. At the same time, you have to manage your cash flow. You have to manage your storage fees. And so these are all things that you have to take in consideration. And, if you're a newer seller, sometimes those issues are a little harder to juggle. This will be my fourth quarter. And so I'm definitely getting better at it. It's still a work in progress. Amazon has increased their storage fees for October, November, and December. So you have to take that in consideration as well, especially if you have bigger products or oversized products. Those storage fees, Nate, if you can help me remember, what are they now, like 3 or 4 times?
Yeah, I think Amazon actually shifted their fee structure basically. So they made it almost more beneficial if you're moving units quicker, because they reduced the per unit charge of the FBA fee. So if you're actually moving units very quickly, you potentially could save money. However, for most sellers, and it makes sense, right? Because Amazon every year gets more and more popular. Their storage space gets tighter as more sellers come on their platform. If you're not moving inventory quickly, I'm not sure the exact numbers, but I believe it is about 4 times more expensive than the rest of the year to just have your inventory kind of sit there. So it can definitely add up very quickly. Now, if you move your units faster than normal in Q4, which typically you will, you potentially could be saving on some fees compared to the rest of the year. But for most of us, it's going to be an increased storage cost. So it is definitely something that you're going to want to build in to your inventory. And now that applies whether you're a private label seller, a wholesale seller, or an arbitrage seller, right? Because everyone pretty much has to deal with those same fees. And if you most arbitrage or wholesale sellers likewise will also send inventory in kind of in preparation. I know back when I was selling more arbitrage units, I would basically use October as kind of like a time to beef up my inventory at the warehouses so that in November and December, it was all ready to go. However, I believe this is the first year actually that October is going to be included with those increased storage fees as well. So it's almost like a whole nother month before that your cost. Typically you use that October month as like the time to just build up the inventory and then move it quickly November, December. But now you have to factor in that as well, that month also is going to be increased storage costs. Now, for most of us, you kind of just have to take that as a cost of doing business. Like you would rather, if your margins are pretty good, which if you're a private label seller, typically you can kind of absorb those additional costs. Typically, those increased sales velocity during Q4, even end of October, November, December, are going to more than make up the additional storage costs. It's just something to be aware of. You might want to hold back some inventory at your home a little bit longer if you have the means to do so, or if you have your own warehouse. I believe Andy, Liron, and I have talked about this together in the past, that every year we think that third-party warehouses that store inventory for you may get more and more popular as those fees kind of start to average out with Amazon and with the ability to get your inventory there quickly still. However, FBA is still just such a great opportunity. We still feel that the ability to send your inventory right from China to Amazon in some cases, or to a freight forwarder or a prep company, and get your units to Amazon just so quickly and let them take care of the rest, typically is kind of like the easiest all-around solution. However, all of us have done arbitrage in the past, so we all kind of realize the struggle with that. We've done some wholesale, we've done lots of private label, as we talk about every week. So we kind of see these struggles. But the main thing you want to do is really focus on the 20-80 rule. We talk about this a lot. Your top 20% or the top 20% of your revenue typically, the top 80% of your revenue comes from your top 20% of your products, right? So those products you definitely are going to want to plan for. You don't want to go out of stock on those. Now, if you go out of stock on your bottom 80% of units, it's not as bad, right? Because they're not generating most of your revenue. So you really want to focus in on those top 20%, make sure that you have more than enough inventory in a lot of cases. That's kind of my strategy. I don't know if you guys have a different outlook on that.
Yeah, so I agree with that. I went to actually was at Resonate conference this year that a speaker said, never ever go out of stock on your top 20% of products. And that's one of the things that I kind of that kind of hit home with me to focus on my top 20% and make sure that I never ever run out of stock. And actually right now, this week I'm having a product, my best selling product, go on a boat that I am out of stock on because I couldn't Father's Day. I had a product that sold really well and didn't have an order in time to actually replenish that. So you want to make sure that you're doing that for Q4, but also think about several things right now. One, you want to have enough inventory for Q4, but you also, if you're shipping items by boat, you also want to have inventory for January, right? So you don't want to be in a situation where, December, 20th, you're completely out of stock and now you have to wait till maybe March or April because you have the Chinese New Year at the beginning of the year, like around February. And, any orders that you may place, at the end of December might not be finished by that February Chinese New Year, and you're not getting that product back in until April. And that can really hurt your first quarter sales. It's something that happened to me. I didn't forecast enough inventory for Q4, and I was out of stock on many products until about March, April of this year. And so that hurt my overall first quarter sales. And so you want to make sure that you order enough inventory and that you have enough inventory, for after Q4, and that you get those orders in now, because what happens is everybody kind of waits, figures out, okay, well, if I need to have product in, let's say by November to Amazon, then I want to make sure, it gets here like in October, and I'm probably going to place that order like, end of August, September. Well, what happens is all the factories get really, really backed up. And when you come to them to put your order in, you're putting in your, 1,000 units, and they're going to give priority to the customer that's ordering 5,000 units. And you're going to be sort of on the back burner whenever they can get to it to make your product. And so you really want to get your orders in early to make sure that you have enough stock for Q4, and then focus really before Q4 on a lot of things that we talk about as far as optimization goes, optimizing your keywords on those products, optimizing your listing copy, your images. If you already have those products, optimizing sponsored ads, etc. And then if you're sourcing products right now and you're thinking about Q4, then it's a great time to bring products in, because there's less risk bringing a product into the fourth quarter, because just like today, kind of Prime Day, like a lot of stuff just sells. Even if you have a mediocre type product, or even if you're in a very competitive market, most products that are any type of product that somebody would buy for Q4, you'll probably sell through. And so you really want to think about, what product can I bring in that's going to be a good Q4 type product? And now is the time to pull the trigger on products, because you just have a lot less risk that you're really going to either lose money or it's going to take you a long time to sell through. And then the benefit is, if you have a successful product, you're going to be racking up a lot of sales, a lot of reviews. It can help with your rank, and you can really sort of catapult the success of that product into 2018.
Awesome. So let's talk about that a little bit more again, because we're trying to, really talk about why you should already start preparing for Q4. And it might seem early for a lot of sellers. I know because I was used to arbitrage when I first was moving into private label, it just seemed like everything, like I could have waited longer than I needed to, because, when you're doing arbitrage, a lot of times things really don't get moving in Q4 until maybe Halloween, if you're doing stuff for seasonality around that, but until Black Friday, right? That's really when it seems like everything starts to go crazy. And from Black Friday until Christmas, it's just like an insane month. However, with private label, you can't wait that long. So Andy, I'll ask you this. You have a couple Q4 under your belt with private label as well. Like, in your experience in the past, have you tried to do, if you're importing by boat, you pretty much expect it's going to take a couple months to produce your products and get them sent over, right? So it's, it's slower, but by air, typically through most of the year, you can get products pretty fast, right? Within, the actual air shipment itself is within a week a lot of times, right? So have you tried to order products in Q4 by air shipment, and did you find it taking like way longer than the rest of the year, or were you still able with your manufacturer to get products quickly?
So like typically right now is when I start placing boat orders, for product that I want in Amazon's warehouse in November. So we're like right at the beginning of July, I'll start placing those orders. And as you get closer to fourth quarter, the shipping it gets more backed up. And so, air shipments that you may be able to get in a week are going to take sometimes 2 weeks, or possibly even more than that. And so you don't necessarily want, for me, I don't think you want to play that game where you're going to wait, to possibly airship something. If that's the case, if you're air shipping, I think you want to, try to target a date where you're going to have it at least by the beginning of September, and not try to, place an order that's too far into October, or for sure not into November, because then you're going to miss it. At the same time, you have to be careful as well, because Chinese New Year hits not too long after Christmas. And so if you don't have your major order in, or if you don't have it placed, the factories are going to get backed up. And so they may not be able to manufacture your product, like Ron said. And so then you're maybe out of stock until March or April. And so you definitely want to take that in consideration as well.
Right. So, I mean, these are all things to consider. If you are new to private label and you still don't have your product yet, it's not too late. Like, air shipment still can be a little bit from now, but basically what we're trying to say is get on it, right? Get those samples in. You really want to start preparing. You don't want to wait too long. Doesn't mean that you can't go later into the year, but just for optimal time to get your products going, you really want to be on the move of, getting those communication with your supplier and getting your shipment set up with your freight forwarder and everything that you need to do to plan for a successful Q4. All right. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up for this episode of the Amazon Seller Podcast. Make sure that you are doing what you need to get samples ordered, to set up your shipments with your suppliers, to get your Amazon listings optimized and prepared for a successful Q4. And also make sure that you hit up the follow button on the Amazing Freedom Facebook page. You can just type in amazingfreedom.com on Facebook and give us a follow. And if you have been finding our podcast episodes here helpful, it really helps us if you go to iTunes and leave a review letting us know. Just lets us know that you're getting value from these podcasts and helps us to keep bringing them to you each week. We're going to catch you on the next episode of the Amazon Seller Podcast.
You've been listening to the Amazon Seller Podcast. Make sure to subscribe and join us next time for another look at how to dominate the Amazon marketplace.